Been done, dog.
Ah, look at that shit. All right, I'm recording. All right, good on my end.
You recording right now?
Yep. I'm
Cool.
so
Yo, what's going on, guys? This is another week of Sparring Partners podcast. I believe it's week 8. Brad's riding high off of some fresh news that he's going to get to keep his beard.
I'm going to return to beard status.
Yeah, he's going to return to beard status.
2 full years of a beardless face, having to mess around with mustaches and whatever I could get away with, but
Yeah,
that's over with.
I'm signing off on it. Approve it. Keep the beard. I think it's a mark of good luck.
Oh yeah,
for the show.
it's coming.
Okay, cool. Well, I think probably Mondays are just going to be our new days because listen, y'all, we get together for fight nights, and sometimes the fallout from that involves Coby with a migraine. So, we're not going to stop the behavior that leads to migraines. We're just going to give us a day to recover from migraines.
We're going to adapt around the problem, okay?
Right.
This is not to mention, I have to go to work on Sundays, very hungover. And after I've worked all day on Sunday hungover, I'm not in a good mood. Don't want to talk about fights on Sunday night. But Monday, after I've let that die off a little bit, I'm good. Thought about it. We're good to go. Mondays is the day.
Oh, yeah. Well, before we get into anything, I'm just going to go ahead and include the obligatory notes. If you like the show, like, subscribe, comment down below if you got any questions, comments, or concerns. And as always, we're brought to you by filmfightfreaks.com. My latest preview of Contender series is out now and will be useful for you the day you listen to this, because this will be released on a Tuesday, and Contender series, the last week, is going to happen tomorrow, the last week of the 2020 season. It's got some returning athletes, got some underground bangers on there. I'm very excited for the last week of Contender series. Cool. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at sparringpartnerspodcast@gmail.com, or you can comment on the YouTube video, or reach out to us on the website where the show notes are and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Saturday, we witnessed Paul Felder return to the cage after he essentially ended his retirement. Fought Dos Anjos on, what was it, less than a week?
It's 5 days notice, but it was really like 3.5 when you take the weight cut into consideration.
Yeah, and he gave an inspiring performance. I would categorize it as an inspiring performance, because as he revealed after the fight, he hadn't stepped foot in an MMA gym, in 4 months. And so he credited his triathlon training to being able to go 25 minutes, which is nuts. You don't train for 4 months, and then you go and, more or less, yeah, you tired out like you would, but more or less kept pace over 25 minutes.
What do you
expect? What did you think of the main event?
It was great. It went how I expected it to go. Paul Felder's really tough. I didn't expect him to get finished, but I expected him to lose just because of the way the odds were stacked against him. But he put up a great show of himself. He looked great. RDA was on point. He had 2 training camps for this because he had a full training camp to fight earlier and then got COVID, so he was training for a really long time. But yeah, it's cool to have RDA back at lightweight. That's dope. He jumps. So Felder was an even higher ranked opponent than Makhachev was. So Felder was 7. So RDA jumps back in now at number 7. So that's wild. That lightweight was already crazy deep. But yeah, putting the RDA in there at 7 is really shaked up to that division.
Yeah, so you think he just slides right on in there at number 7? He just takes the seven spot?
Yeah, I would give
Yeah.
RDA the 7th spot, and then actually, go look. The ranking should be out.
The new ones are not out.
They're not. Dang.
No, I'm looking at them right now.
I would give RDA the 7th spot, and then I'd just bump Felder down to 8, and that'd be that. Because who's right underneath that? Isn't it like Hooker? Or Hooker's 6, isn't
Yes, yes. Hooker, no. Hooker is number 5. And actually, what I'm going to go ahead and do
Oliveira.
via the magic of Skype, because
Right.
actually,
Very well.
I liked the way that it looked last episode. So I'm going to go ahead and if I can make this full screen, I'm going to go ahead and share. Yeah, I'll share my screen. Yeah, so here are rankings. We had Paul Felder at number 7.
Yeah.
And then we've got Dan Hooker at 5. And actually, if we look to the post by Evan on the website, he actually thinks that Dos Anjos should take on Dan Hooker next.
That's excellent. I'd be totally down for that. Because that would be RDA fighting up in the rankings, which is, the best you could hope for with the top of that division as stacked as it is. And then, RDA really got some he got some ups with Connor, name dropping him in a tweet talking about, yeah, sure, he'll fight him because they have a history together. So it's very intriguing for him. I'd totally be down for that. That'd be a great fight against Hooker.
Oh, dude, it'd be phenomenal. And the thing about Hooker is I don't think he's really fought any RDA as a veteran as he is in the sport. Really shows a modern game still. One that mixes in all the skills, most notably his wrestling. RDA's wrestling is fantastic, and his groundwork and whatnot. I mean, that's what I would mostly credit his decision win with.
He's getting trained by Verdum now. So
what's that?
Verdum is training him now. So Verdum is the guy that's training RDA's ground game.
Are they still at MMA Masters like Rafael Cordero?
I think so. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Verdum did an interview talking about how he did a lot of game planning for him for that fight.
Yeah, I know. So the MMA landscape has not produced the most news recently. So I'll just drop this little nugget in. Verdum just signed a PFL. Just a little side note. He signed a PFL for the 2021 season, which was a little interesting. But yeah, man, I think I really like that Dan Hooker matchup, and the top 4 at lightweight and also they don't have well, he hasn't fought yet.
That's why he's not ranked. So it's like
they don't have him.
It's not ranked.
Yeah, I'm really they're gonna definitely have him test himself against it's looking like the top 4 at lightweight. I know they're really trying to get our man Khabib back, but assuming he does not come back, really the top 4 is kind of made up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody there is essentially booked for the most part. And if everything comes together, the UFC's working on it. It'll all be on that 257 pay-per-view in January. They're aiming to have Connor Dustin 2 main event, and then you throw Tony and Chandler in the co-main, and they want Justin Gaethje is the standby guy that shows up and makes weight in case anybody falls out of the main event. Man, what do we got to do to get Charles Oliveira fight again? Dude, that's the guy, man. Charles Oliveira is the dark horse and all that. I need to see him fight again, dude. After he submitted Kevin Lee like that, I want to see some of those top guys.
Yeah, I'm wondering what his issues have been, because you think he would have gotten back in there by now. But it is what it is. He's still, he's not, he's one of those guys where when we first saw him, he submitted. Well, he submitted someone super quick. It was like a post limb, like after how the UFC used to do after you saw the main event,
Yeah.
and you would, dude. Can you hear this dog now?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Dude, he is being a real. He's dogs. Don't get one, man. Don't get one.
Well,
It's a scam. But yeah, when you when we first saw Charles Oliveira, he's so young,
he's a
and so
kid.
for some reason in my head he's like stuck at like this like young prospect. But I mean, what he's. I mean, honestly, he's
He
probably going to
fights like constantly, which has been why it's such a problem for his development. But he's finally starting to put it together. But he's fought in the UFC like a shitload, like 20 plus times in the UFC. Um,
Yeah, they're not. They're not. Well, they are. He's
and
30.
he's 30, and he's been
He's
jumping
30.
back and forth between featherweight and lightweight this whole time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But now he's back at lightweight. He's on a run. He's won like 5 or 6 straight at lightweight.
Six in a row.
All this shit sucks. For his stats, go to Wikipedia or something. But yeah, no, Oliveira's a beast. I'm excited to see him fight again.
Well, to jump back over to the card, right? In the co-main event, we saw Chaos Williams and Al Hassan. That was an emphatic KO, as emphatic a KO as we've ever seen in the octagon, as good as any other KO is what I meant to say. It Al Hassan went down like a board. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
Yep, short straight, murked him. That's fucking 2 fights in the UFC for Chaos, 2 crazy fast knockouts. He is off to a strong start.
Yeah, and I think this is an issue that the UFC runs into is hype versus skill level, right? You have a guy who comes in and he has 2 octagon wins, what
Like a minute.
in under a minute. So you don't know, even though we know he hits hard, we're honestly, I'm not sure as to like, there's not a lot of tape against him against the highest level of the sport. So I think when a guy stops people that quick, it's probably a little bit tougher to play matchmaker.
Oh yeah, this situation slips a lot of guys up all the time. You come in and you get a couple real quick flashy knockouts. They shoot you up the rankings real quick, and then you start getting beat up because you don't have the rest of your game as developed. What was his name? Markia Casey. Happened to him. Happens to all kinds of guys. Uh, Miles Jury also started off really strong, and then he hit a wall, started
Mm-hmm.
getting fucked up, and then got rid of him.
Yeah. Also on the card, Sean Strickland, 2 wins in 2 weeks after 2 years off.
Yeah.
How
Hey,
awesome is that, man? He looked great. He looks better than ever after a 2 year layoff.
hey, these quarantine fights of just like, hey, you want to stick around and do it again? Like that, this pays off for a lot of these guys. Like you just keep the momentum going. No, it was one of Paul Felder's things, right? When he was like before, he wanted to retire because he doesn't like being away from his family to go to these long training camps. Well, this situation was perfect for him. He didn't have to train at all. He never had to go train in the gym for it, but he got the fight. He just accepted it on a week's notice. So it's the same thing a lot of these guys are doing. They're like, all right, let's just, I don't have to train a full camp. I just I use one camp to fight multiple times. Yeah, a lot of these people have been doing good.
Yeah, also on the card, some things of note. Dude, the Yoder Granger fight was one of the most frustrating fights I've ever watched.
Hmm.
Did you happen to catch that one?
No, I missed Yoder and no, that's it. I missed Yoder. I saw all the rest of them.
Dude, it was just frustrating because Yoder would get these dominant positions on the ground, and I guess maybe she just didn't feel like positionally secure, but it just led to a lot of moments where I mean, there was just straight up. There was one point, I think, in the second round where Granger had used the cage to try. So Yoder had mount. Granger rotates herself using the cage. You know, from mount, when you're mounted on someone, you cut that angle, and then you go for the armbar, right? Granger had essentially cut the angle for Yoder, and Yoder still didn't go. It was frustrating, man. It was a frustrating fight to watch. We don't. I mean, obviously, we don't know everything that goes into it, but being the, I'm just saying, I'm not sure how quick Dana White's going to be to put her on, the third fight from the main event anytime soon. Unfortunately, yeah, it was frustrating. And then Corey McKenna, I was excited to see her octagon debut. How'd you feel about that decision?
I thought there were a lot of bad decisions. I didn't like that one. The one judge that gave the fight to Paul Felder, didn't like that one. There was some rough judging overall. It's that one guy.
Also, just to kind of highlight this, look at how many canceled bouts.
Yeah, 2 of them fell off the day of the card. It's crazy.
Dude, I was super excited for Smolka Quinones.
Yeah.
Very excited. I mean, like I said, I said before the show, these past 2 cards really have been, I think, UFC's love letter to the hardcores. Because, yeah, dude, let's take a look. Let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and take a look at, next week's card, 255, right? Initially, we were going to get Davidson Figueiredo against Cody Garbrandt, which I was very excited for. Garbrandt tore his bicep. Really sucks. Bicep's never going to look the same. Ask Robbie Lawler. But instead, we get Alex Perez, the calf kicker from hell. He chopped off Jussier Formiga's leg, and the UFC sent him packing. But yeah, dude, this card is sick. And we'll start from the bottom. Right? We've got Louis Kosei making his UFC debut. He was on week 4 of the Contender series. I think he was on week 4. Super talented. And then the next fight, Kyle Dawkins. I believe he's another Contender series dude last season, taking on Dustin Stolfus. The dude who broke dude's arm with a takedown. Yeah. Alan Jouban taking on Jared Gooden.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of matchups that make my inner fight fan just do this. Nicholas Dalby versus Daniel Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Dude. What are some on here that stand out to you?
Baby Shevchenko, Ariana Lipsky, that's a banger. The leader of my favorite knockouts of all time, Joaquin Buckley, is back again. Let's see what he's got. Brandon Moreno, who probably should be fighting in the main event. That's fun. Don't know why.
Dude, Brandon Royval is so good.
Yeah,
he is so good. And then who I said just his name, but I mean it's right. I thought I messed up his name. Mauricio Hua taking on Paul Craig again.
Strange fight, but it's okay.
Hey man, it's a rematch. They got unfinished business. Their last bout was a draw.
Whatever.
what are you gonna do? I'm just excited to see that one. I'm always down to see Caitlin Chikugian and also Cynthia Calvillo. How do you see that one going?
I'm leaning Calvillo, but Chukagian has a very specific skill set that she could implement if she can just take Calvillo down and hold her there. But we'll see. It's in everyone's best interest that Calvillo wins because Chukagian's already got murked by Shevchenko, so it'd be nice to have some new blood at the top of that division. And then Contender.
Yeah, I think it's a really great test for both women, right? Because Chukagian, well, okay, Calvillo, she's a pretty much a grappler through and through, yeah. Yeah, and so Chukagian, if memory serves, has really great boxing.
Nope.
Really long.
Wrestling.
What's that?
Chukagian's a wrestler. She likes to wrestle.
Really?
Yeah, because remember she was using her hands and just got knocked out against Anjos.
Yeah, she got kicked to the old body.
Yes, but
She got kicked to the old body.
wrestle. There we go.
Okay. Okay.
Got ground and pounded decisions. Well, of course, they're all decisions.
Okay. Well, you know, I always thought that her boxing was good too. But yeah, I guess you're right.
All right. I don't even know. Neither one of us, as extremely hardcore fans, don't even know the skill set of the top of the women's 125 division. So, there's not much to work with there.
I mean, there's the thing, is that when you have a champion like Shevchenko, who is so complete in every area of the sport, it becomes a thing where it's like, what are these women even going to do? Like, I don't know. Like Jennifer Maia, if I'm being honest, I don't think that she's shut out skill wise. Like, I mean, I think Jennifer Maia is the type of fighter to beat someone like Shevchenko. Just like kind of got there, uh, through. I mean, obviously hard work, skills, not overly mind blowing in any aspect, which is kind of a good sign. Because a lot of these women get into the cage with Shevchenko and they're like, well, if I can make this one skill set work that I think I have the edge over Shevchenko in, I'll be the champion. And then they find out, oh no, I forgot. Shevchenko is just better than me everywhere. And I think it will take a fighter like Jennifer Maia, who hits hard, who's tough, comes forward, and has ground skills, as well as stand-up skills. That said, I don't see her getting it done on Saturday.
No, Jennifer Maia is simply another lamb to slaughter, but I don't see her getting brutally just got head kick knocked out.
No.
I say she probably goes to a very dominant decision loss. Yeah, and then Shevchenko keeps the train a rolling, racks up these Demetrius Johnson-like title defenses.
Yeah. I mean, it's the blessing and curse of a dominant champion. I mean, what else? What else can you do as a champion other than? And she's already tried to move up, or I mean, she's already had multiple bouts with the champion. Oh Jesus. Oh geez, I didn't even realize this. Yeah. I didn't even realize this. Look at the rankings for 145.
Yeah, strange they even put that there.
Look at these rankings.
Don't forget there's a full women's pound for pound now, which is totally unnecessary.
Real women's pound for pound. Huh. Weird. I mean, honestly, I would just include Shevchenko and Nunez in just like pound for pound.
I know that's
like, to be honest, like I didn't know we needed a women's pound for pound.
down.
Because I mean, like, honestly, I would put Nunez, like, her achievements against really anyone in the sport and her dominance against anyone in the sport. Oh well, it is what it is. Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. Jessica Andrade. Hmm. That that is interesting. I forgot that she had moved up.
Yep.
And she looked freaking great.
Yep, one fight went straight to number 1 in the next division up.
I mean, I would love to see her fight Shevchenko.
She should next. She's the most dangerous person in the division now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, man. That's dope. And I mean, I just want to reiterate that I do think that, I mean, Maya is obviously among the top of the division. I mean, the way she took out Calderwood was super impressive. I didn't expect her to take out Calderwood. I expected Calderwood to win. So
same, but Calderwood is also super hit and miss. So
yeah, man, it's one of those things where there's just certain fighters. I mean, across men's and women's divisions, that when you look at them on paper, the skills they bring to the table, you think like, yeah, obviously this person should be best in the world. But there's like the X factor of mental state. And I feel like with certain fighters, it's way more relevant than others. Like in terms of male fighter, Robbie Lawler is one that comes to mind.
Cerrone.
Cerrone is another one that comes to mind. Rose Namajunas.
Yep, Rose.
I would include Joanne Calderwood. I would include Felice Herrig. I mean, it goes on, but it is really one of the biggest X factors in the sport, and it's one that's super hard to accommodate for when you're trying to make predictions. It's yeah, man, it's the consistency thing. It's consistency, but it is what it is. Very disappointing. I was very disappointed when I found out Mike Perry versus Robbie Lawler was no longer happening, and granted, we're definitely spoiled when I'm let down by Mike Perry versus Tim Means, because I think that's also bound to be fireworks. But still, I'm disappointed Robbie Lawler is no longer throwing down with Mike Perry.
It's true, but I predict Tim Means to be a much more violent fight than the old lost 5 in a row Robbie Lawler fight was going to be. Because that I predicted Robbie Lawler to lose a 3-round decision. Him and Mike Perry just kind of throwing hands. But I think Tim Means could knock Mike Perry dead, or Mike Perry. I don't know. Mike Perry's looked super flat recently, probably because he's got a pregnant baby mama training him. But I mean, he couldn't even finish Mickey Gall. He had that decision over Mickey Gall. His last fight was just kind of like, okay. So I don't know where he's at. But Tim Means is a violent man who typically either knocks out or gets knocked out. So that's gonna be crazy. But yeah, once again, Mike Perry, his corner is going to be pregnant girlfriend and like his friend. So we'll see.
Yeah, man, Mike Perry. I'm honestly shocked that the UFC still wants to be in the Mike Perry business. To be honest,
I think a couple of losses, 2 more losses, and they may not want to be anymore.
With Platinum Princess just coming out and like officially going on record with allegations, and then Dana White did the Dana White thing when he was asked about it and just like played coy, like, I don't know, I haven't heard anything yet. I haven't heard anything about that. It's like, dude, if he's asked about that like this media week, and he may have already been if he's been available, it's like, how long can you keep saying I haven't looked into it before it's just like, okay, well, at this point you just don't care. Like, you just clearly you're not worried about it. Is that Mike Perry brings eyeballs, and that's your bottom line at this point.
That was the thing. At one point, Mike Perry was like a solid co-main event against someone like a Donald Cerrone. Like that was his level. But recently, he's fallen on some hard times, and he's not really that kind of guy anymore. So I feel like if he can't put together like some exciting fights coming up, then it may not. It may be the end of the run for him in the UFC because I mean, yeah, he got knocked out by Jeff Neal. He actually got.
Bam.
That was a rough one.
Round one.
He looked good against Vicente Luque, but that was when he was still training with a team.
Yeah, man. I just think there's something. Well, I mean, okay. Before before his recent um before his recent run-ins with the law and his ex-girlfriend and all that, we already knew Mike Perry was different mentally, but the things he's been doing honestly make me think of like War Machine.
Yeah.
Like, I think probably Mike Perry goes out in a similar fashion to War Machine.
He seems like one of these guys that needs like that like don't do well when you go to like a big gym and there's just like all kinds of people that they rather have just like one coach that's like all about them. Like Rose has, where it's like TJ and what's his name, where it's like I got my one guy that's like all about me and somebody that's like gonna be looking out for my best interests, and now he doesn't have anyone like that around him. He's just doing whatever he wants and shooting from the hip. And
No.
he's certainly not improving his fighting skills at all.
No, honestly, man, we've seen this sport long enough. The people the people that talk about that and do that, they're either some of the greatest fighters ever, a la DJ, right? Mighty Mouse,
That was a better example, yeah.
or they are total pieces of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, yeah, you have like the people who build like a super gym around them, and then because they want to be good, or you have the people that build a team around themselves because ain't nobody loyal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one or the other. And yeah, and Mike Perry joins the long-standing tradition of ain't nobody loyal, much like the uh, Charles Felony
Bennett.
Bennett before him. Yeah. So it is what it is. Mike Perry's got issues, and he's got real issues in Tim Means, who ain't no Mickey Gall. Let's just say that. Tim Means is 32-12-1 and seen his share of mean men. Right? It's but actually, you know what? One thing that kind of surprises me about Mike Perry is that he competes in jiu-jitsu
Well,
and wins.
he does submission underground at the tail on them.
Well, yeah, I mean, submission underground, he's not able to like smash people in the head, so you figure it wouldn't appeal to him. But he does okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look. And let's see who you got in the main event.
I'll be honest with you. Before this new fight got announced, I was aware of Alex Perez from him being on the Contender series, but I hadn't been paying attention to him. So I remember the fight of him chopping off old boy's leg, but before that, I missed between him coming on the Contender series and then becoming a number one contender. So with that knowledge, I'm predicting him to get knocked dead by Davison Figueiredo, because this is the information that I have in my head, is that Figueiredo knocks people, murks people out. I know he obliterated Joe Benavidez like it was nothing twice, and Benavidez beat Alex Perez. So,
He beat Alex Perez twice in one fight.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Figueiredo on that.
Yeah, man. Figueiredo, I don't think gets the respect he deserves, but he cracks for a 125er.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, Alex Perez does too, man. Alex Perez, it just is one of those things where Alex Perez is strong is also where Figueiredo is strong.
Yeah.
And I think judging by, I mean, when we predict fights or we kind of, try and game out who is going to win, we can only go by the data we have. And the data we have is that Alex Perez has been stopped via strikes at the highest level. Figueiredo has not. Figueiredo has only stopped people and violently. So, yeah, I'm also leaning Figueiredo, although I think it would be really cool for Perez to be the first Contender Series alum to capture a title. It's very, very few fights anymore do I get personally wrapped up in who wins or loses. I don't know if you're the same anymore. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna. I'll wake up Sunday and whoever won. I don't have a dog in the fight. I just hope it's a good fight.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely not personally invested in this one. I agree with you. My fighters that I'm personally invested in like have waned over the years. Now it's really just like Izzy or somebody like that. They're like, oh man, I'm like on the edge of my seat when they're fighting, and like I'd feel something if they lost. But like a lot of those guys for me have retired already at this point.
I mean, that is really who is left for me. The people I get like emotionally tied to their wins and losses.
Yeah.
It really is people we watched growing up, really, and it's very rare anymore that like a modern fighter elicits the same response.
Yeah.
Like Condit and Matt Brown are booked, right? They are both dudes that I am emotionally invested on whether or not they win or lose. So that's going to be a tough one to watch.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, it's going to be tough to watch. Um, you know, yeah, dude. There's quite a few. Like I would love to see on this card in particular. I would love to see who I'll win. He's an old dog, man. He's an old dog, and you just like to see the old dogs get their due. Not in a bad way, not in an old Yeller way, but like in a Lassie kind of way. Or does Lassie get killed at the end too?
I don't remember. Maybe in like a birthday way, like here's some cake, like that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah. Who I hope you get birthday cake.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are about 35 minutes in, and it's been a little light on the news. I just thought that I would drop some like small news.
Drop it.
So I can't find this corroborated, sorry, anywhere. It may have been a tweet, it may have been an Instagram post, but apparently Mayweather returns to the ring in 2021 at an event called Max 21, or let's see, I had it Mega 21. I can only find it reported on websites like this one.
I
But
have no knowledge of this.
Mega 21, Tokyo, Japan. I'll be back in 2021 and we'll do something great at the Tokyo Dome.
What is this, another exhibition?
It's not associated with resin. It is Mega 2021. It is not
That's like Risen writing.
It is Risen writing, but it's not Risen. It's his own thing. February 28th. Yeah, that's what apparently is happening. What do you think about this?
Could not care less. I've never cared about a Floyd Mayweather fight, and I never will, because boxing sucks, and I hate boxing. I will always hate boxing.
It's
every time somebody's like, "Hey, there's like a good boxer you should watch," they lose, and I watch them.
Yeah, listen, man, we got let down by, what was his name? Big Baby. He was supposed to fight for the WWE title, but he popped for roids.
Yeah, that was the one.
He did not have the body of a drug user, though. I'll tell you that.
No.
He was a little bit long in the gut, but he apparently was on the sauce. Yeah, man. Boxing is a complex thing for me because, yeah, on the whole, it's hard to go back, is the way I would put it. Like, I feel like
you can never go back. It's a one.
I can't go. It's really hard to go back. And there's certain boxers that I like watching. What a Japanese dude just competed anyway. Fantastic, so good, so good. And he's fast. He hits hard. He's small, but he hits. Yeah, he hits unbelievably hard. Yeah, other than like a few boxers every now and again, I don't really turn it on. I mean, it's I feel like it's a blind spot in my combat sports fandom, but yeah, it's hard to go back to a sport that feels more like a sport than like a fight. If it's just I don't feel like it's as scientific as MMA.
No, it's trash.
Got it. Trash. That's it. No, I just feel like in MMA there's just so much stuff you can learn like after coming out of an event. It's like like go back to Buckley's KO. It's like, oh, that's possible. Like, that's a thing. If I had gone to a Taekwondo class and someone was like, well, yeah, if someone catched your foot, you then do a spinning back kick to their head, I would immediately go, this is bullshit. This is not a thing. This is not applicable to any sort of, like, someone would have to be a real dunce to get hit by this. No. This works because we saw it work against a very formidable fighter who knows what the hell he's doing.
Yeah.
And we learned a new thing. We learned a new thing you can do in high level competition. Yeah, dude. It's boxing. Honestly, it's probably a thing like we don't know. Like, probably to a hardcore boxing fan would hear me say that and be like, screw you.
Yeah.
we learn something every boxing event, but I just don't feel that. It's not as visceral either.
No.
But yeah. So nothing else. We'll do a controversial segment.
Okay.
Controversial. Stop the share for a second, because you never know what's going to pop up in the autocomplete. And dude, if you saw my setup right now, you'd be so impressed. It's something else. I've got my lap. Like those like one of those little, so that my desk, right, has one of those little like raised things for a monitor.
Yeah.
Well, what I did is I took the two like so my laptop has two little ridges on the back with like the rubber, right?
Yeah.
And so I have it angled at like a 45-degree angle it's from when I was working on a paper. Now that didn't work well enough because when I got more involved in the typing, it would kind of slip.
Yeah.
So now I have this chassis of rubber bands
Ah,
holding up the bot. Dude, I'm telling you, it was an engineering feat. And those rubber bands, so it's two rubber bands that are tied to the base of the little thing, right?
yeah.
Now they're tied to other rubber bands, which then hook to the corners of my laptop.
Okay.
And
Hold
then
on.
there's one more rubber band that links the two corner ropes or loops.
Holds it all together.
Yeah, it does. It holds it very secure. This thing is it ain't falling, tell you that. So yeah, we'll just do we're just gonna take a few minutes. And if it's a garbage segment, we'll just cut it.
Okay.
Actually, more likely, I'm gonna leave it in regardless because it's the full episode. I'm just gonna scroll Reddit's top,
Okay.
right? And we'll go through and we'll just very quickly things of note.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very quickly, we'll get your thoughts on it.
Okay.
We already mentioned it. Verdum signs with PFL 2021. I'm kind of surprised by that because the rumors I've been hearing is that PFL was like on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yeah, to me, the biggest thing to come out of that is that Bellator passed on Verdum because you would think there's all kinds of matchups for Verdum in the heavyweight division of Bellator, but looks like they were not interested. They let him go.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm surprised by that too. And like I said, I'm surprised that PFL still has the bankroll to sign a Verdum. Because I mean, Verdum's getting up there. As fighters get up there, they're not taking peanuts. Well, okay, well, not all of them, but a former UFC champ is not taking peanuts. Next up, Kamaev officially in the top 15 at welterweight.
Yeah, just it's kind of whatever. I don't know.
I mean, let's be honest. I don't take UFC's rankings really all that serious. It's kind of like the only reason I take them serious is that they take them seriously. They sometimes do.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't know who makes those rankings. Apparently, it's media members, but no media members know who the heck these media members are.
No, it's just a couple of jackoffs. My problem with it is that I don't like when people move in the rankings when they didn't fight and where nothing happened involving them particularly, because this is clearly where they're like, all right, this fight with Leon's coming up. Let's just we put a number next to his name, then they both have numbers next to their name on the poster instead of just one of them, and the other guy has no number. Whatever, that's fine because it's already ridiculous if he wins and he becomes number 3. So it's whatever. I don't
care. I mentioned it earlier in the show yet again. GCA Formiga released from the UFC. So
yep.
That's really it's bizarre to me that there must be more to the story because flyweight to me is already kind of thin. So it's weird that they would release someone who was, I mean, he was in the top 15 easily. I don't know if he was higher than that, but I mean, that's what got Alex Perez a shot at the title.
Yep.
So, Sergey Karatanov's orbital bone broken by UFC fighter Yandiev over debt and quotation marks.
It is a slow news week, people. We cannot stress this enough. There is not a lot of MMA news in these past couple of weeks. It is a drought.
I mean, Bado Jack reveals he was originally supposed to box Tito Ortiz on the Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. undercard.
Of course he was. That guy, that person I've never heard of, was supposed to box the city councilman Tito Ortiz on the old man fights on the thriller.
The elected city councilman who's going to very quickly realize that, like, oh, this doesn't have to do with like busting wide open QAnon drops. It like has to do with like, whether or not we allow people to collect donations at like stoplights. Like,
it's a Tito thing to be like, oh man, Trump and the Republicans are like running rampant right now. I gotta get in on this. And he gets in on it, right? The show gets kicked out.
Yeah, dude. There's been multiple videos recommended to me. I don't know why they think I hate Tito Ortiz, but there's been multiple videos in the recommended section on YouTube to me. There are videos very similar, but all made by different people, like 10 minutes of Tito Ortiz being an idiot, or Tito Ortiz being an imbecile for 7 minutes straight. Islam Makhachev is good to go. He went back home. I really wish I had watched Bellator, to be honest, because Pitbull won.
I did watch Bellator. I watched Bellator. I didn't care about any of it, but it was fine. Pitbull won, and it was cool. He just murked that dude. He just murked him.
I think that he is. I mean, he has a win over Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
So I think that he legitimately is the greatest talent outside the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, he probably is at this point. But yeah, overall, I mean, that was cool. That the co-main event was really good too. It was 5 rounds because it was in the tournament. But yeah, it's the problem. You know, Bellator got all their issues. I'm just totally uninvested in everything that they do. So the whole time I'm watching it, I'm just like, man, I just don't care. I don't care about any of these people or who they are or what's coming next, because nothing that's coming next is cool. That's what's like the UFC always. It's like, what's next? What's next? The minute the person finishes the fight, they put a mic in their face and they go, all right, next. What are we doing next? We got to keep this thing rolling. We're always looking at the next thing. There's no cool next thing coming in Bellator.
The next card is, I mean, it has intriguing matchups.
I think it's the next headliner for Bellator. I don't know who it is.
It's AJ McKee versus Darian Caldwell.
I cannot even tell you what weight class that's at.
They are a part of the Feather. Again, I'm breaking some news to you. They are in the semifinals of the Bellator Featherweight Grand Prix.
Oh, I would have guessed that they were bantamweights.
Darian Caldwell he moved up for the Grand Prix.
Okay. Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm really confused as to how they're timing this, because Pitbull just defended his belt, but there were 2 bouts in the Featherweight Grand Prix in at Thursday's card. It was Pitbull.
The other guy is on his side of the bracket, right? So they both fought on the same card. They're gonna
true.
It's gonna be like down the line.
Yeah, but you'd figure it'd be a little bit closer, because I mean, like, they fought Thursday, and Antonio McKee or AJ McKee and Darian Caldwell are about to be in the finals before the other two dudes have even fought. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the way that Bellator spreads those tournaments out for so long.
It takes way too long. When it takes like a year plus, you lose all the intrigue of it.
Yeah, yeah, and also it's really weird that they make the champion defend their belt every single fight.
Yeah, when it moves through the bracket, it's very strange.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is that, but it's like a roundabout way of Bellator trying to crown a new champ. Because no matter who, I mean, you're gonna unify the. Yeah, whatever.
That's what was so disappointing about the welterweight tournament was after they did all that shit, we still ended up with this fight that we got at the very beginning, which was Rory versus Lima again. So it was like a total waste.
Yeah, man. I think that Coker has had that issue forever. I mean, Coker is a big believer in building towards fights in a bracket rather than just like
Booking them.
just book it because it's the fight. People want to see it now. I don't need you to build towards it. I'm not edging here. I want the fight. I want the fight. It's the one of the biggest losses of MMA matchmaking is Overeem versus Fedor, which we should have gotten, but instead we didn't get that.
Yeah.
In other news, Rafael dos Anjos rewarded with UFC and USADA jacket after 50 clean tests.
Oh, ain't that just swell? They're the nicest bunch of people you ever met.
These jackets are pretty cool.
You'll love a nice jacket that's got giant furry USADA written across it. Or clean. This is a clean man. That's what's written across the back of it.
I like that.
Here, I'll give you one. I'll give you one off the top of my head. I just finished watching DC and Ariel. Paul Felder, who just fought on Saturday, will be on the commentary booth tomorrow for the Contender Series.
Woo! Hell yeah!
Yeah, they hit up DC and they were like, "Yo, dog, you couldn't tag in because that's why Felder was there originally. He was supposed to work on commentary for that card against Dos Anjos, and then also turn around and do the Contender Series." And they were like, "Nah, DC, we need you to do it." But Felder was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna do the Contender Series on Tuesday." And they're like, "All right, cool." So all tore up and bruised up, he will be at the commentating desk tomorrow night.
Hey man, that's the way you got to do it. That's the way you got to do it. Well, I mean, truth be told, he probably was booked to do the Contender Series commentary before he was booked for that fight.
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Yeah, I ran out of news. So I think we'll just end it here. I think we'll just actually, you know what? I think that we will do this just to tie this in for 1 week, the last week that it's even on. I'll just let you know who your boy has in the Contender Series this week. It's actually a pretty good card. Chelsea Hackett versus Victoria Leonardo should be really good. Hackett is only 3-0-1 in MMA, but she has a 16-3 record in Muay Thai, and was a champion in Muay Thai.
Why is she ranked number 3?
She's number 3. I don't. If you've not used Tapology much, their rankings are. They have world rankings like this one in the red, but then they have regional rankings. So if someone has not fought enough in like a major organization, they get regional rankings. So Chelsea Hackett is considered number 3 she's the number 3rd woman in Australia or New Zealand. You know, I think Hackett is going to get a KO.
Okay.
Victoria Leonardo is really good. She's super well rounded, but um, but a few of the vulnerabilities that she's had in the past are some things that Chelsea Hackett does really well. Um, there's a particular combination where Hackett will she'll throw a punch combination and then cut an angle to the outside and then throw a head kick, which is the exact combination that Leonardo's only been knocked out one time. And that's the exact combination that knocked her out. And in the fight since, she has not fixed the defensive issues that let that combination through when she got knocked out. So I think that is a KO for Hackett. Sherrard Blackledge and Tucker Lutz are two dudes who've already fought this season, if the names sound familiar to you. And both got decently dominant decisions, right? Actually, I would say for Tucker Lutz, super dominant. But Dana White didn't see enough for him to think, yeah, you need to come to the UFC. Okay, they didn't get a finish. So this one was hard to pick, but I went with Tucker Lutz because Tucker Lutz thrives off of being able to move forward. And Sherrard Blackledge he's like 6 foot, 5'11". Tucker Lutz is like 5'7", 5'8". Sherrard Blackledge, he is a bit of a counter striker, but he allows himself to get back straight up. And that's where Tucker Lutz really does his best work, is when even his taller opponents are not able, once you're against the cage, you're not allowed to like move backwards anymore, of course, because there's a barrier there. For like a longer fighter like Blackledge, he's not able to maintain that range anymore with his footwork. And Lutz bombs on people against the cage. And also is just technical in general. And so I think that Lutz should win that one. Macias and DePaula. I have Macias for this one. No, I do not. I can't remember. Neither woman had a ton of footage available, if I'm being completely honest. Actually, I think I say it in the post. There are certain fighters that you just can't find that much footage of. Like, it's really hard because, all these people have fought primarily on regional cards, and I'm pretty much dependent on them, recording their shows first of all, and B, uploading them to YouTube. So I don't remember who I went with in that one. I think it was DePaula. Yeah. Yeah, she had advanced striking. The reason I can't remember is that one I didn't have to write this week because they were booked for week 8.
Yeah.
And it got canceled. JP Buys and Jacob Silva. Jacob Silva was involved in that flyweight war against Molinas.
Yeah.
Week 5 or 6. And they're bringing him back to take on JP Buys, who competed in 2017 on the Contender Series. He got stopped in the second round. JP Buys is the husband of Cheyenne Buys, who won this season, got a contract. And JP Buys formerly trained with Team Alpha Male. Now he's with Fortis MMA in Texas. JP Buys is a hell of a wrestler, man. He's so good. He's really good at wrestling. He's young, though. He's only 24 compared to Silva at 32. The thing about Silva is, as you saw from his fight, extremely explosive. Hits really hard for a flyweight. But that recklessness in the past has caused him to be put on the floor. And he doesn't tend to work his way out of positions. He tends to explode out of them. And as you know, training grappling, the more you try to explode out of positions with an experienced grappler, the more they're just going to wear you out because that's not going to get you anywhere typically. So I think JP Buys is really he's got this one in my opinion, because he doesn't mess around on the feet really. He throws some leg kicks. He does some like Team Alpha Male-esque like movement, but he's always just a few seconds away from taking a shot. And then in the featured bout, Diaz Academy protege Nick Maximov takes on Oscar Cota. This is probably one of the biggest weight differences I've ever seen. They just weighed in today, a 54-pound weight difference between the two. Maximov has competed as middleweight, but his professional career so far, he's competed at 205. He's young. He's 22. Phenomenal ground skills. He's competed in submission underground 3 or 4 times. He's competed in combat jiu-jitsu as well. Oscar Cota, probably the biggest card he's competed on. He lost in the that De La Hoya card with Ortiz, Liddell 3. But Cota is really something to watch. He's so fast for a heavyweight. He's big. He looks like a smaller Roy Nelson, but he moves like a middleweight, man. He'll leap in with some combinations, some of those like those Fedor looking overhands where he like lands with this part of his fist. Yeah, he moves really well for a heavyweight. And if he can stop the takedown, I think he wins and via stoppage. Because Nick Maximov, while his boxing is serviceable, he's hittable, he is clippable, and Oscar Cota hits way too hard to mess around with that. So even though it's one of those matchups where, like, if the fight stays on the feet, the scales are heavy for Cota, and if it hits the floor at all, it's Maximov. And I pretty much made my decision based on, well, the fight starts on the feet, and in the past, Maximov has at least humored the stand-up a little bit before grappling. Once Maximov decides to grapple, that's what he does. It's I called it in the article persistence grappling, where like he'll shoot from the outside, and in his last fight, Maximov's last fight, he fought at LFA 91. He shot from the outside, missed, and literally crawled really fast and got a takedown off of that. And he'll throw himself in some real weird positions to get the fight to the floor. I just think that weight classes exist for a reason. And Oscar Cota has 12 fights. So Oscar Cota almost has 3 times the experience in professional competition. Yeah, I think it's Oscar Cota. But yeah, that's that. So to all you listeners abroad who can actually bet on these things, that's how you should bet. And for all you suckers in the US, like me and Brad, no one's half the battle, so you win too, but no money. Yeah. And you know what? I think I will call it now. I think we'll call it now, because I think that does actually bring us up to an hour. I mean, listen, guys, this is a slow news time for MMA. I don't know why, but it is. But we hope that at the very least we've kept you company for an hour, and we've spoken about a sport that we all love, and we've kept the ball rolling. That's really what this week was about. Keep the ball rolling. And before we know it, we'll be up to episode 52, and we'll look back and go, wow, week 8. We scrolled Reddit and listened to Coby blather about Contender series. We've come so long. We've come so far.
What you got to do when you're keeping the ball rolling, all right?
Keeping the ball rolling. That's right. So thank you guys for those of you who have tuned in. For those of you who've made it here, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Again, as always, please like, subscribe, comment down below any questions, comments, or concerns you have for either of us. Yeah, as always, I'm Coby McKinley. That's Brad Jones. This has been Sparring Partners, brought to you by Film Fight Freaks, and we'll see you next week. Peace.